Welcome. This is a reveal of another new kit that I've made. Now, these are all background pages. The kit is called Renaissance Reverie. And if you've been paying attention or following my channel, you know I've kind of gotten very interested in medieval and Renaissance period art. And I made a Divine Details kit number 3 full of medieval Renaissance ephemera. Okay, so that's already out. And after I made all the ephemera, cut everything out, and you can see some of the pieces here, I realized, well, what pages am I going to use? So I went ahead and I made a gorgeous, like I said, background pages. So like here's some examples. You know, you've got the arched windows, says grace and peace, and you know, you've got the illuminated manuscripts and all that kind of stuff in here. It's a really phenomenal ephemera kit. And as I say all the time, if you want to start adding faith to your junk journals, one of the ways to do that is make a kit or use scrapbook paper, you know, just make anything that you want, and then add faith pieces of ephemera. So I've got 3 new faith ephemera kits. They're Divine Details 1, 2, and then this is the 3rd one, okay? So let me show you the pages. And as I'm showing you some of the pages, I'm gonna share a little bit with you about why I'm so, obsessed isn't the right word. No, I think you understand that I am a faith artist, right? And so when you look at art from the medieval period, which was, let's see, 500 to 1400 after Christ, all the art that was created was an act of worship, okay? Because the medieval era was dominated by the Christian church, and they were the main patron of the arts. And so all the art that, like I said, was created was sacred, it was symbolic, it was instructional, because it was all created to glorify God and teach biblical truths to largely illiterate populations. And so when you understand that stuff, then you're going to understand and see why I'm so intrigued with these. So like I said, this is all background pages. So I've put 18 vertical pages together and 18 horizontals. So I think, whoops, these are just some extras that I've printed. So what I think we'll try and do is I'll show you them both at the exact same time. So do you see these ornate backgrounds? They're kind of like tapestries, right? And so you saw a lot of, in that time, in the medieval time, was hand-painted Bibles, there were prayer books, the stained glass windows were in all the cathedrals, and of course, what did they show but Bible stories? There was a lot of frescoes and mosaics, and that's what this page that I created really reminds me of, okay? Let me just flip those over there. And then here's a perfect example. Look at these extremely ornate frames, because in that time frame, the art that they made was reflecting the majesty and the transcendence of God. And so these gorgeous frames would have been on art. And then, of course, here is your architecture, the pointed arches. That's what they were making, especially like at Notre Dame. It's a soaring cathedral with these kind of windows. So I've made, you know, I included that in here. And so, you know what? All the art from the medieval time was not about the artist. Guess it was about? It was all about God. It was about honoring God. So I'm showing you some of the statues that would have been in some of these, and you know, some of the background work. And so as I said, I just love these. Now, hopefully you're noticing they're real soft colors. I printed this on just heavyweight cardstock. I did not use matte photo paper. I don't think you really need to use it on these because of the softness, right? And so again, here we go. You've got hold on, let me move that. I don't want that falling on the floor. So you've got some music papers and some of these ornate frames, and then, you know, some pictures of people from that time frame. And of course, the Gothic, what is this called? Pillars, right? And then all the ornate work, because they would take, 20, 30 years to build a cathedral. And they hired real artists to actually make them. Now, after the medieval time came the Renaissance period, and that was like 1400 to 1600, so it's only about 200 years. And now you're going to see, hold on one second, oops, where'd that piece of paper go? It's probably, I thought I had them all in order, so sorry about that. Well, it's here, we'll find this one, but you can tell I have a match to it over there. So now you're going to see a lot of these ornate manuscripts. So now look at this closely. These are actual photocopies of real manuscripts that I've gotten off of the commons that anybody's allowed to use. And somebody was sitting there, you can faintly see the line they drew, and with an ink, probably like a quill, right? They're writing that. So can you imagine if you get to the end of the page and then you find out you made a mistake, you got to start all over again. And this is all hand done. And so in the Renaissance period, now we have humanism coming in. So now it's more about the human potential. So art was still about faith, but it really began. So who was this? This is Michelangelo's notes. And again, allowed to use that because they're in the commons. So I put some of those in there. Aren't these just great background pages? Yeah, you can just see why they're going to be great background pages. Because these were his drawings when he was trying to figure out what he wanted to paint. And I love, this one too. So what you're going to see is that the paintings that started to be done in the Renaissance were more about perspective and anatomy and then emotion. So that's like Da Vinci and Michelangelo, right? But we still have, this is actually from a Bible. This is a ornate Bible page, right? And so biblical themes were portrayed in very lifelike detail. So here's some more, pages out of these Renaissance Bibles. And then, of course, there's the heraldry that you would see. Now, during this time, religious commissions were still by the church, and they remained very central. So that's when the Sistine Chapel happened, okay? But you began to see during that time that secular themes began to emerge. So it wasn't always just about God. And then, okay, now this is a page from, and now I'm going to forget it, but I will put it in my notes because Debbie turned me on to this. This is actually a Bible from, oh my gosh, when? I can't even tell you. Well, it was a printed one. So this is going to be past the Renaissance and the medieval. But I just loved it that we could put that, in our kit. So art at that point in time during the Renaissance really as I said, they started to explore gifts like beauty and truth. There was still faith in there. But the idea of an individual personal relationship with God, that's what you started to see. And so why I love all this, because I'm a faith artist. And so across both of these periods, all this art was not a decoration, it was a devotion. It was a way to tell the stories of Scripture. They wanted to inspire awe and reverence, to bring the spiritual into the visual, and then reflect God's nature, okay? So I made this kit. Here's the pages. Now I've shown you. Now I can go make a junk journal. I'm going to make a junk journal, and I'm going to stuff it with faith from the Divine Details number 3. So stay tuned, and I'll show you a really fun junk journal that we're going to make with these absolutely gorgeous pages. I think these are more versatile. I don't want you to say like, well, I'm not really into that style, because I think you can use this with individual different types of junk pages that we all collect, right? Music paper, dictionaries, things like that. I just think they have some focal points that they're, really good. So this is the end of part 1. I will show you the journal that I'm making. I forgot to show you. I actually gave you a couple pieces of ephemera in the background pages kit. I totally forgot that. So here's some cards that you can use. You could, you know, do some journaling. You could put a Bible verse on the back of it. And then I gave you a set of 6 tags that I made real unique. And then I decided to do this. There's a friend of mine who makes kits, and I thought that was such a cool idea. Now, my printer was not printing right, but anyway, I basically took the file for each of the pages and made a whole page. And I thought, you know, like, this could be fun. You could cut these in strips. You could do 2 strips. You could fold them over. You can do lots of fun things. So that's the ephemera that does come in the background pages kit. I decided I'm going to make another manila file folder foldy journal. So this is a legal one, okay? And again, I think you can get 5 of these at Dollar Tree. So if you want to just, you know, grab one of those. So basically what I've done is I've folded that one into there and I folded that one into there, okay? And then I've just flipped it this way. And I think I want this on the outside, and then I measure down 10.5, because that way, you know, a paper like that would, a vertical paper would fit on there. So I'm going to go ahead and trim that at 10.5. You could use a regular file folder too. You don't have to use, you know, just this one. You don't have to use a legal one is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so you can see it's not all perfect, and that's kind of the way I like to make these. And then what we're going to do is I'm just gonna, I think I want this to be the cover. Let's see, can I make it work as a cover? Would we actually see it? That's okay, maybe we want something lighter. Oh, no, wait. Oh, wait. Maybe if we use this one, that way we get her totally on there. And then we get this part. Oh, yeah, that's the one I want. That's the one I want on the front. Okay, so what you're seeing me do is kind of wrap stuff, and I think I'm going to go ahead and glue it that way. So we're going to go ahead and glue this entire front page up. So I was using Pritt glue, and then I decided to try the Uhu glue. And in case you haven't tried the Uhu glue, it's very, very creamy. You got to be, I have to be careful because I press too hard, and then you use like half a tube and you don't really even need to. So to be honest, when this, I bought like 10 of them. When this is done, I don't think I'm going to buy Uhu again. I am going to buy the Pritt. Pritt works better for me. Oh no, wait, you want the top up here to be the edge. And then come over. Whoops, still didn't get it. Okay. Hold on, we'll get it yet. I want it right there. And then here's what my problem is, trying to match the top and then the side. Did we get it that time? Yes. Okay, that will work. And we'll go ahead and trim that. Let me use my smaller scissors to get that little curve in there. And then we'll just trim this off. So this is kind of fun for me because this is not a Bible study. Most of the videos you see me making, I'm making Bible studies. So this is a way, if you're brand new to faith journaling, you can start this way by, as I said, just making something fun in any way that you want. And then we will add faith in our ephemera. There we go. Oh, isn't that pretty, pretty, pretty? Yes. Now, do I have enough glue over here? I don't think I went far enough. No, I didn't. So let's make sure we got plenty of glue so it's all totally glued down. I love these colors and the designs and the patterns. They're just so, so pretty. Okay, so we're gonna fold that. Now, hopefully you've seen my other video where I used my friend from Raven Vintage, her kit. That's kind of what prompted me to make my own kit, because she made this really pretty, kind of a medieval type of a kit, and I enjoyed it so much. So I decided, well, I want to have a kit. So that's why I, made this. So what do we want to, I don't think I want another one of those. No, we don't want that, because then that's just too much of the same. Ooh, now that would be pretty. I got to make sure I have that in my horizontal kit. We didn't come up with it, did we? No, that's too white. I don't think I want that. So when I make these, this is just about auditioning, right? I just keep putting things on here and seeing what I like. Okay, that's not bad. Now you see, I'm using the paper across, and I think that kind of works. But then again, that's awful white. Oh, maybe this is better. Look, here, we're getting those tones. I think that actually is, I think that's better. So which way do I want to go? We'll go that way. So we're just going to glue that on, and it's going to be over the fold, just so you're aware, but that's okay. It just reinforces. These are very thin file folders. These are not heavy duty at all. That's why they're only $1.25 at Dollar Tree. Okay, so let's do this. We'll butt that right up against it. There we go. Okay, and how far did I not come over here? There we go. Okay. Let's put that there. Now we have to trim the top. Every time I do this, I say, why do you not rip it, Diane? And then I realize, I don't know, I'm gonna have to really push myself to do that. Okay, so let's go get the fold where we want the fold. There we go. Okay, so that goes there. This is gonna come, I think I folded it the wrong way. Yeah, let's fold it this way. No, what am I doing? Hold on. Because this is the way I had it. Yeah, so I do want that fold. I want it folded this way. I folded it the wrong direction. But it's okay, because see, it's so gluey, wet. It's still nice that it'll work. I can change the direction. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the ruler right on it and then do it again. I think it will be a better way to get it to go where we want it to go. Yes, let's do that. And of course, because it's still damp, it's buckling just a little bit. So let's do it this way. There we go. See if that works better. There we go. Okay, that works. Okay, so we've just got this little piece, and I'm gonna wait on filling that. Now let's do our inside. One of the things that I share when I do these kinds of things is, these to me are background pages, which could be really cool. And then we just add a lot of pockets, right? And oh, I really like that. And so you're not really covering up these gorgeous designs. That's, to me, like, I love this couple pieces. And let's see, if we put it on there, right? when we go to put a pocket or something on, well, no, it wouldn't be too bad. Actually, this one would work here. But what I'm saying is I hate that I cover up the designs. That's why I kind of play with what I'm putting inside and on certain pages, because I want it to, I have to decide if I'm gonna keep the focal point. Like, I like that woman. Is she gonna be right on the very edge if we do that? Or do we do it this direction? So we keep this as our focal point. We put this over here, which that works. And now I'm realizing I have a lot of whitish pages, which there's not a problem with that. I just thought that might be fun. Let's see. And of course we've got the Bible. I'm not sure how I'm going to use this, so hold on. Okay, so this is what our inside would look like. I don't know that I like that there. I like this section of it. Okay, so if we put this here, oh, I'm going to have half of this left. I might be able to put it over there. Okay, let's do that. Let's go ahead and glue. Let's glue this one down, and then we'll see where we go from there, right? See how much glue you use? This, I don't have to turn the Prit as much as I'm turning this. And I'm trying to have a light hand, not a heavy. But anyway, so I find like I end up using that whole stick to do one little project, which is kind of weird to me. But anyway, oh yeah, I like that. I like that I'm going to open that to that. I think that works really, really well. Okay, let's glue this over here. See how quick you can make a journal? Now, you're going to find that if you start watching a lot of my videos, and go back and watch my old ones, okay? I use file folders all the time. I love file folders. I think they're a phenomenal base for junk journals. And so I just love them. And so I've made so many different versions. So you definitely have to go back and watch my videos. I think what I should do, I think I need to make a video where I pull out all my file folder journals and show them to you, so that you can see, you know, okay, see how this one's made, see how you can make this one. Because when you make so many and then you have so many videos, you don't always see the whole picture, right? Oops. Okay, I should use my smaller scissors to make that little twist. There. Okay, and then we're going to do my smaller scissors for the little round parts. And then we'll trim the top off. So I hope you enjoy this kit. I hope you get it and you make something fantastic from it. Now, see how cool that is? Oh, look, that looks really, really good there. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just cut that off and then we'll just piece it. See, that looks really good. Let's do that. Let's trim this piece to make it straight. And then I can use paper or I can use washi tape, right, to make fun parts. Okay, so we're going to have that there. Oh, Diane, you should put the whole thing up there and cut the bottom off. That's much better. Yes, there we go. Okay, that's looking kind of cool. So we have these two little spots, right? Get my bone folder back. Yeah, come on, go ahead. You don't need to buckle up even though you're just glued. Okay, this one should go right over. Yeah, that one went fine. And then this one, we have to go back to, where is it? Right there, right? Okay, that comes there. This is gonna come back over here. There we go. Okay, and then this goes over there. So you have to kind of coax it if you're seeing what I'm doing, and then you make it real crisp. So we've got two parts that we need to play with. Oh, isn't this pretty? So it's a tall, skinny flip-flop. Now, I'm not going to do this for this video because I don't need to do that. But if you were making this and you wanted to have two more pieces, you could cut another piece of a file folder and glue it right on here. And then you could have like a 7 or 8 page on one side, right? I don't need that because I'm just making this for fun to show you the kit. So that is what you can do with this. The other thing I could do is I could just totally trim it off. I don't need it on there. Do we want to end it like that and make it short? Okay, let me think for a second. Okay, playing around thinking, I remembered, okay, we have this because we cut this off. We could actually use this to make pockets, right? If we want to, just have pockets across. And then I was gonna cut this off, and then I decided, I think what I'm gonna do is, look, I'm gonna use this because it kind of looks like this really cool border. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put this design on both sides as like an edge border type of a thing. And then we'll trim it, you know, with the file tab part. There we go. Okay, we're gonna have that there. So let's go ahead and let's trim this. I'm doing that with the big scissors because oh, there's some big thunder. You probably heard that. Of course, it's Florida, summertime afternoon. So for those of you who don't know, I live in Central Florida, in Palm Bay, which is, I'm an hour from Orlando. Orlando's in the middle of the state, right? And I am over on the East Coast, not the West Coast, the East Coast, in Melbourne, Palm Bay. That's where I live. And anyway, in the summer, all these people always come to go to Disney World, and they don't bring any rain gear because you have to understand, this is hurricane rainy season. So when you are here, we get rain every day, at least once a day, to be honest. Sometimes it comes 2 or 3 times. Like today. It rained about an hour ago. The sun's out. The sun's out right now, but the black sky, yeah. Oh, see, I like that edge. Isn't that fun? It defines it. Okay, let's do it on this side. And we're gonna put the other part on this side. So yeah, if you come to Central Florida, pay attention. It's gonna be raining. That's why you really want to come here in the winter. And I moved here from Virginia, so I adore our winters. They're so perfect. I mean, I swim all winter in an outdoor pool that's not heated. Typically, that's That's been my norm in the 13 years that I've been here, that I can swim. A lot of times, we have a gorgeous pool here in my development. I live in a small development. We have a nice sized pool, and no one ever goes there. My girlfriend and I go there all the time. We usually go every morning, and I do my workout. I was diagnosed with lymphedema, not lipedema, in the spring, and I had to do I had to do physical therapy, and I have this electric machine here at my house that I have to do. It like pumps air pressure against your legs, so I have it for both my legs. Anyway, so I've gotten the lymphedema under control, and that's really good. But what really helps me the most is I go to the pool and I tread water, run in the water, right, for like 45 minutes. And of course, I turn on my trusty watch and gauge how far I did. And that just sets me up for a wonderful day. My legs don't swell up. I don't have pain. So that's why I go to the pool as often as I do, and that's why I'm so tan. But I like being tan. I've always liked being tan. Okay. Yes, that worked out really, really well. Isn't that pretty? Okay, I'm going to go off camera, and I'm going to ink up all the edges. And then we're going to sit here and play, and we're going to add some Faith Ephemera and make a journal. Well, I've been having fun off camera. I think I've got it done. Now, as I mentioned, the whole point of this video is to show you how you can take any kind of a junk journal digital kit and you can turn it into a piece of faith art, because what I've done is add faith. How do you add faith? I've got all these faith ephemera kits. Now, this particular one, the divine number 3, and I just lost my train of thought. Anyway, it's the medieval and Renaissance, so it coordinates with the paper. So, this is a good kit to have for that if you want to add it. So that's basically what we've done. So let me show you. Now, everything is from the Divine Digital's 3 and the Renaissance Reverie, except this piece. This I got out of my Divine Digital's number 2 kit because I knew I had some tags with some Bible verses, and I thought this would be just perfect. So I've got the cross on there, and then I've got, Matthew 7:7. Ask and it will be given to you, and you will find. Knock and it will be opened to you. So then you're going to open it up. We're going to open it up one more time, and it's beautiful. So we made this little belly band. We've got the cross, and then we've put some, pieces from the kit. So we've got faith and that. Now, if you were making this specifically for number 1, this is a great kit for guys because it's very masculine. Number 2, if you were making this for a specific person, don't forget, yes, okay, this is really cool. Write a verse, write a note to the person. Tell them why you want to gift them this. Why did you make this? What is it that you want them to hear? So we've got Sing to the Lord. We've got our, our fun tags in there with our fun fibers. And then this, let me tell you a little bit about this. So when don't be stuck in there. I'm going to be upset. Diane, I got too much glue on it. Hold on. There it is. Okay, put it in too far. Okay, I talk about going to thrift stores all the time. And what are some books that I look for? I look for art books, but art books of, again, old, so these are medieval books. They're art books about places you can go and look at art in Europe. That's what this is from. And this is heavy duty, shiny cardstock, gorgeous. And there's 2, these are probably frescoes in some church. They actually are. They are, I threw the place away. It's over in Europe. And so I kept the description because I wanted to put that in there and just slide it in. And it totally fits with this, right? So this particular one was by Giovanni Toscani. And he called it The Incredulity of St. Thomas, the prophet Jeremiah and Isaiah. So Giovanni Toscani was for a long time known as the master of the Griggs crucifixion before his identity was discovered in 1966. So the subject of this panel is commented on the dado at the bottom with the words, touch that which is real like me, and you will believe in justice combined in 3 people, which always exalts those who act justly. Well, the sentence refers to a place where justice was administered, perhaps the court of Mercantanzia around in which he worked in 1419 to 1420. But the date is in keeping with the Gothic characteristics of the work. Now, I don't think that they really are, they didn't look that up. Okay, who is that? That's Jesus. That's doubting Thomas, right? Like, what, you don't believe that's me? That's what that really is. Okay, what's this other one? This was the Madonna with Child, St. John the Baptist, St. Nicholas and Angels. Gerardo Starninia, a Florentine painter who also worked in Spain, where he came into contact with the most advanced trends of international Gothicism, today tends to be identified by critics as the so-called master of the lively child. And if you could see really close, do you see the smile on the child, right? It was an outstanding figure in early 15th century paintings in Florence. He was noted for his linear finesse and the decorative nature of his elegant forms, okay? And so I'm just going to, stick that in there because I think it goes in there perfectly. I got to make sure I don't get stuck in there again. And then we've got some more, of the tags that came in the kit. So you've seen most of this. So now let's close this up, and now we're going to go to the back. And so what I did on the back was I used one of the gorgeous keys in that, Florentine This is just a piece of, yeah, what is it, Diane? Oh, you know those little bags that you can get to put jewelry in? Somebody gave me one and I was going to throw it away, but it was black. And I went, just cut it up and I can use it as a little backdrop. And then this, I cut this piece out of the horizontal pieces of paper because it was smaller. And I made that into a pocket. And then I wanted to share with you what these pieces are in this kit. I'm pretty sure that I wrote it in there, but I want to just make sure you understand. So I purchased an antique, a real antique from 1800, I think, a French, it's all in French, missal, M-I-S-A-L. And that is a Roman Catholic, it's not the Bible. What is it that the Roman Catholics use that you buy that, like the Magnificat comes like that? Let me see if I have it real quick. Basically, if you're a Catholic and you go to church, they have all of the prayers and the order that they're doing in these little books. And my girlfriend is Catholic across the street, and she was going to throw them all away. And I said, oh my gosh, don't throw those away. Look at these pictures, because they have these phenomenal, all the Renaissance, photos. So anyway, I got a French from the 1800s missal. And basically what I've done is I've scanned it and then I've put it into here. And if you could see up close, do you see the gorgeous artwork in there? And so these are just so magnificent. I don't read French. I just wanted one of these. And like I said, it's prayers and it's God's word is basically what it is. So that's why I've put it in here. Let me grab it. I think I have it over here close to me. Yes, I do. Okay. Here it is, M-I-S-S-E-L. Okay, you can see I'm taking the pages out. Now, look at this. So here's what I think happened, right? How many times do we find old Bibles that are 100 years old that look like nobody touched them? Guess what? Nobody did. That's why they're so perfect. And this was obviously some wealthy French person, because they would buy this, right? And then they'd have it engraved with their initials, okay? So as you can see, I've been, pulling out some of the pages and stuff. But anyway, this is what it looks like. So you would be going to church, and you would, if you read French, obviously you would know what day of the year, what prayers that you're on. But they're just such a magnificent work of art. Like I said, if you look at all the drawings, somebody sat there and made all this. Remember when this was being made in the 1800s or 1700s? There's ones you can get from 1700, okay? That's just like blows my mind that somebody sat there and drew all that. So I just think they're gorgeous. And as I said, I bought it specifically to do this. I bought it to take out the pages and put it into my art. Now, at some point, I'm going to just take these pages and I'm going to put these exact pages, but I'm trying to show you in a kit because these are not cheap. These are fairly expensive for this little teeny tiny book. Oh, I thought the age was on it. I thought there was a date on it. Well, it would help if I read French, but I don't. So here's the table that you would look up, like all the dates and things like that. Okay, I think it was listed as 1807. I got it off of eBay. Oh, here, okay, what am I talking about? 1896 is when this was for. So right before 1900. So it's 125 plus 4. So it's almost 130 years old. So see how gorgeous. I knew I could find the date, 1896. Anyway, see how the condition of it was phenomenal. There's a lot of these on eBay that are ripped apart, they're falling apart, and people still want $150 for them. So anyway, that's what that is. So I put that in there, and there's another picture from the missal and then a piece from there. So anyway, I ended up talking way too much again, but I wanted to just walk you through why these pieces that I've included in here. I wanted to give you a little history lesson, and I wanted you to see that this is a phenomenal way to add faith. You could make this small, you could give this to a guy. As I said, you can, make it as a gift, but that is my junk journal for Renaissance Reverie. I hope you like this kit and you might be interested in making something from this time period and having fun with it. Please like my video. Please share. Please comment. Let me know what you think. Would you even be interested in this? A couple people said no, that's not interesting to them. That's okay. I make things all different styles and all different designs. You know, who knows? I enjoyed this, and I enjoyed the walk through history. So, till next time.